The Guelph Griffins stink, and the Boston Red Sox stink. Let's cue the music.
Play the music, man.
This is a big, elaborate plan here.
Oh my God, dude, it's electric.
Man, these motherfuckers are hitting. He's the funniest guy ever. I'm like, no, he's not.
That was tough for me. That was very tough for me.
What is going on, bro? I don't know what's going on right now.
I mean, this guy's an idiot, dude. This guy is an idiot.
Did you play when you were in the
God?
league?
Come on, man. Come on, man.
We're gonna fucking slap him.
We slap him, man.
I lost a couple $100,000. You want to keep talking about it, asshole?
Yeah, I was like, next. We didn't. That's not what we knew. We didn't know that.
It's all time, man. He's all time.
Oh man, it's been a couple weeks. I forgot that we had the new intro song. Those clips, they get me, man. The Ballure stuff, Bruce, that's just
hilarious.
It's all time. It's all time, and this is all time. Episode 19 of the All Time Podcast with Luke Wilson. I am Luke Bellis, joined as always by my good pal, Super Bowl champion. How many years in the league? 10?
8.
9? 8?
Yeah.
8 years in the league. Who's keeping
8,
track?
Never mind. 8. It sucks. I gotta say 8, but yeah. Could be worse. Could be better.
Could be worse. Could have been better.
What it is.
It is what it is.
Belly had a big day today, though.
Big day today. Yeah, you're coming off a big bike ride from what I heard. And we're coming off a big interview with Nathan Rourke. You can probably tell by the title of this episode. We were joined CFL legend, 2 seasons in the league. Easy to, but I'm prepared to say it. I think you are too. CFL legend, shattering records, single game stuff. He would have tore this league apart for years, but he's off to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was kind enough, joined us for about an hour today. We're going to get to that chat in a couple minutes, but Luke texted me earlier today, and you know, anytime someone texts me about my father, my radar starts to go up. He says, "I got a story for you, man. Steve Bellis would be proud." And my dad's big into the bike stuff, so I got to assume this involves some stuff on the bike today. So talk to me. You seem to have quite the day.
So, bro, I'm in, and I just checked. He has not liked my Strava workout yet, but I think he will. He just probably hasn't seen it. He just probably hasn't seen it.
It's 8:50 on March 28th. I'll guarantee you within the day that'll change.
Okay, it's called kudos on Strava. But as you know, I'm usually in LA, but I'm in a road camp actually with a team out of Edmonton. I believe it's called Avra. Kind of a cool connection there. But they're like, hey, do you want to come down to this road camp? They're track cyclists for those. Anyways, I'm not going to get bogged down in the minutia. They're like, yo, we got a big day today.
Big work.
And we basically started from this, let's call it 0. I don't know exactly how elevated we were. But in the first 29 kilometers, we climbed 1,700 meters. So we basically climbed to the top of a fucking mountain, bro. I mean, dude, this was a fucking grind. Now, the end all was 80 kilometers, not that far. Still a decent click, 80-kilometer ride with 1,900 meters of elevation gain. But again, which that in itself is a lot for 80 kilometers. But what Strava doesn't tell you is that we basically knocked out 1,690 or 1,700 of it in the first 30 kilometers. So, I mean, bro, we were grinding. Some dark moments. You're like, bro, am I going to pass out here? Like, what's going on? But the good news is job got done, and I'm a better cyclist,
Is there a cycler's high? I hear people talk about runner's high.
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
You get to a point where you're just like so fucking exhausted that you're like, this is bliss. Like, this is
bliss, and you're also like pretty hyper, man. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but you get to the point where it's just like, this might be weird, but for me, it's not a head buzz. It's like a body rush. Like your body is just like firing on all cylinders. Like, I'm not going to lie. I didn't, you're on the bike for 4+ hours. Yeah, you're snacking, of course, you're eating, but all of a sudden you kind of like don't eat lunch. You're on the bike drinking weird shit and guzzling carbs. You get back and it's like you just burned 3,300 calories. Bro, I went to Big Bob's Best Pizza in Oceanside and just slapped a medium pizza. And I kid you not, Belly, it's like your body is a furnace. Like you put the pizza in, you can just feel it just boom, burn, gone. Bro, I'm not even kidding. Bro. I can feel this shit.
What's your go-tos?
I change it up a lot, bro.
Yeah.
I change it up quite a bit. Today was not my go-to. I want to be clear, it was not my go-to. But today I went ham, mushrooms, tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, a little peculiar.
A little peculiar. You're a
Anyways,
little
we'll get more
peculiar guy,
cyclist
though.
story soon. Let's talk about our guy Nathan Rourke, man.
He's electric. I didn't know what to expect. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't sure if he was going to be soft-spoken, a little quieter. I've seen some other interviews with him, but he showed up. It took me about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to figure it out, but the shirt he was wearing is just incredible as well. He had some good stories. He seems to be a big fan of full sending it. So
yeah,
you two hit it off just as well as if not better than I expected you two to hit it off. So, it's awesome. Anything you want to touch on just before we jump into that?
I think it's really cool. He's we talk about this in the pod, but he's a bit of a trailblazer for that position for Canadians, and I really hope that he keeps ripping right now. So let's play it. Producer Alex set it up, and another episode of the All-Time Pod.
Yes, sir. We'll be back next week. All right, joining us now is a very special guest. You may have seen him quarterback the Ohio Bobcats to not 1, not 2, but 3 consecutive bowl wins. He maybe even caught your eye breaking some CFL single game records. And if it weren't for that damn foot injury, I think this guy would have rewritten the entire record book. Quite simply put, he's putting Canadian quarterbacks back on the map. He's one of the newest members of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nathan Rourke. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Nate, no other place I want to start with. Let's do the foot thing real quick. How's the foot?
Yeah.
Had surgery not too long ago. How we doing there?
Yeah. So I had surgery to get the hardware out at the end of the January, and so I've been rehabbing down in Jacksonville for the last couple of several weeks, and feeling great, man. I'm ready to go, and once everything is organized and everyone comes back, I'll be ready to go and able to join the group and do everything that everyone else is doing.
Okay, if you're cool with this, Belly, I want to hear. So for me, again, obviously there's a pretty big age gap between us, but I have a big passion for Canadian ball players, kind of their story, especially a guy right now who's, in the middle of his story, right in the next chapter. But I feel like we all have very, very different journeys, but there's a lot of similarities. So if you could just I know we got a lot of Canadian listeners out there, just give a little quick background. You said you're from Victoria, grew up in Ontario. Can we talk about how you got to Ohio? Because for me, I tell people this all the time, and I really don't want to be this guy, and it's getting better now. But when I was coming out, if you didn't have if you were an O lineman, or I was 6'5" in 9th grade, if you didn't have elite measurables, it was why would we go to Canada to get a running back? Why would we go to Canada to get a DB? Why would we go to Canada to get a fucking quarterback? Get my guy balls. So that's what I want to know. Talk to me, bro. Talk to me about Victoria, Ontario to Ohio and how that all worked out.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like that at all. I had to go down to the States. So I went down, I did grade 9 through 11 in Oakville, Ontario. And then nothing was really happening. So I did my senior year in just outside of Montgomery, Alabama, at a school called Edgewood Academy, hoping to get a Division I scholarship. It didn't end up happening that way. So I went to junior college in Fort Scott, Kansas. I did that for 6 months, to do it for one season, and then I was able to transfer to Ohio at that point. So a little bit of a long-winded way to go.
No, I love that. I'm very familiar with this. Again, I've kind of tracked a lot of Canadians throughout my day. So I just want to kind of give listeners a perspective of your mentality. So you're in Oakville. Yeah. I grew up 3 hours down the road. So again, some similarities. And you're going into 12th grade. Sorry, I got too American. Grade 12.
Grade 12,
and, you're playing ball. I'm assuming, were you playing summer ball or just high school? Yeah. So was it the OVFL or the OPFL back then? What is it?
Back in the day, it was the OFC. I was playing in the
okay. So you're in the OFC.
Yeah.
And what is it that gives you mentality-wise like, hey, man, I got a shot to do something special here. Although no one's looking at me, you're probably, at least I was, I'm online looking at like tight ends across America, wondering like, am I as good as them? Oh, no, I'm better than them. You know, I don't have a sniff anywhere because nobody's coming to watch us play ball. What is that moment where you're like, or is there a person in your life that was like, hey, you should go down to Alabama or you should go somewhere else because you've got it? Whatever it is there a moment or a person? That's a young age, where you're in 11th grade.
Yeah.
You're leaving the family,
well,
you know?
Yeah, well, unfortunately I had a very supportive family who was like getting behind me and whatever I really wanted to do, because I was very determined as a kid to be able to prove to myself that I could compete at the highest level. And so really for me, it was just about trying to get to the NFL. And I thought the best way to do that would be to go and play a Division I school. And that was the goal. And so that was the reason to try to, you know, when I was in grade 11, I was going down to all the camps. I was going to all the local camps and trying to make an impression on the, you know, and try to run the 40s and throw in front of the coaches and stuff like that. It just wasn't happening. So next thing was to try to get in front of their, you know, get in their backyards and go down and play their style of football. So that's what I did. And so it was really more just me believing in what I wanted to do, and fortunately I was very supported by the rest of my family. So
now hear me out. Let's talk a little non-ball talk. This one's for our guy Bellis, man. I want to put you in the mind frame here, right? The mindset. Okay. So you're most of your life Oakville, again, true Canadian boy. Mm-hmm. You go down to shout out. What we got? Oh, I like that. Holy Trinity Titans. I know what the HT is. Shout out the Holy Trinity Titans. I love that. Shout out Vince for putting that in the chat.
Yeah.
You go down to Montgomery, Alabama. So one of the things for me, and Belly, hear me out on this, bro. You're an Ontario boy as well. We got 3 Ontario boys here. Shout out City boys. We up. Anyways, when I went down to Rice, one of the things I didn't really, you know, put my mental space into was how different culturally things would be in Houston. And I'm assuming that Montgomery is even the next level. I've spent some time in Oakville. It's a great place, great Ontario town, just outside of Ontario, you know, Toronto, GTA vibes.
Oakville Blades.
I'm assuming, oh, here we go. I'm assuming that there were a couple off the field, you know, just general vibes that were a little different. Can you talk to us about that? And can you talk to us how you navigated that?
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was even different than going down from Houston. I don't know. I've never been to Houston, but I had a teammate with the Lions, Peter Godber, that went to Rice, and so
that's my homie. That's my homie. Yeah, took him on his recruiting trip. Oh, that's my homie. Put that on record. Shout out Peter Godber, Luke Bellis.
Yeah. We'll have to text him and say it was a full send today on the podcast. So so he was telling me all about Houston. So. Anyways, but it was a small town USA kind of vibe, right? So everyone knows everyone. You know, every single sporting event is an event. It's like the community comes out, they're rallying. You know, I remember the first day rolling up to school and they're serving sweet tea instead of water. That was a little bit of a culture shock there, because all I want to do is fill up my water with my water bottle with something that's going to make me feel good. But it was sweet tea, some grits in the morning.
Oh, Doctor, said what in the morning?
Grits in the morning.
Yep.
I'm still seeing that and wondering what's up with that. So it's that was a bit of a culture shock for sure. And then they don't know anything. They don't really know anything about Canada. So I was trying to do my best to represent and make sure that their one experience with the Canadian, it was positive. And that, of course, I had to mess with them a little bit, but. Definitely a different deal. So,
yeah. And you kind of carry that chip. You just, you know, tickle my heart a little bit, where you're like, when you're a Canadian kid playing in the States like that, you do, like, even though it's unfair, like, you represent all Canadian football players. You know, I remember I got down to Rice and I think I was our 4th guy, and this is no shade, but the first 3 were, you know, personality wise, a little different, especially the first guy. The first guy was a strange cat. Good dude, but strange cat. This is not Peter Godber. Peter Godber's the GOAT. Yeah. And everyone looked at me like, what's the matter with this fucking idiot? You know? And I'm like, no, I'm one of the homies. Like, I got it. So I felt like I got the rep back on. And then eventually, you know, you bring Peter Godber in to just put the final seal on the envelope. So now, right, Canadians are viewed in a good light.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yes.
Yeah, no, yeah, to me, it was a bit of a responsibility. I think one of the things that my coach in Alabama used to say is that you're a reflection of your parents. And for me, I took that a step further and said you're a reflection of the way that you were raised, your community, right, and your upbringing. And so I really took that to heart and tried to set a good example. Because I mean, at that point, I didn't realize exactly what you're doing, going down and being a Canadian football player. I don't know about you, Luke, but for me, I always really leaned into that because I was just trying to get recruited. So anything that I could do to stand out a little bit, be the Canadian quarterback for coaches, I was going to lean into that and try to make sure I could stand out in some way.
I did feel like there was a lot of things working against us, but on the flip side, you say that, and if even to this day, like if I were a coach in college and someone was like, hey, there's a Canadian quarterback, the first thing I think of is he hasn't had the opportunities the American kids have. So if he's even level with anyone right now, what's going to happen when he's got a strength program, film? Like, I don't know how things were in Oakville, but we weren't watching no damn film in Windsor. I was just going out and balling. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Okay.
Right.
That's it. And it's like, what's going to happen when and as you know now for sure, and you're going to learn, you're at the Mecca, especially I'd imagine with Doug Peterson. We're going to get into that soon. Like, it's not, I hate when people like it's a job, but it's like, you have every resource available to you to
100%.
get better at football. Where the reality was in Ontario growing up and playing football, you were just playing and you're good at it and you have a passion for it. And yeah, you're working hard. I'm not saying we're not working hard. But in the States, you're working hard and you're working smart. And you've got every resource at your fingertip to really get better and better and better. So I know I'm taking a long time. Bellis is he's mad at me, but I do want to hear the moment you got. So again, the way I picture it, you go down to Montgomery, Alabama, you do that. And then from there, you said you were at Fort Scott?
Fort Scott Community College.
And then from there, the moment you get your Division I offer and you're like, I'm going to Ohio, talk to me about what that feeling was for you personally. Was it more of a jubilation? Was it more of a relief? Like, was it more of a justification? Was it a combination of a lot of things? I know I just said a lot of big words. I'm really not that smart, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm into the shit. This guy's a riot, Bellis. I mean, I'm live right now, bro.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it was a combination of those things. Definitely at some point for me, like I had gone through in 2016, there was national signing. I know there's people kids are signing at all times of the year. It seems like this, nowadays, but at the time it was February 1st was National Signing Day. And I remember, expecting something to happen. There was a bunch of schools that said, 11th hour, we're going to reach out. And I remember not getting that offer and wondering where am I going to play? Is this it for me? Am I going to be able to play football at the next level? And so, for, really a year later to be able to be, on campus at Ohio, going to school there, it was really just, it was a lot of excitement, but at the same time it goes, okay, now the work really begins, right? Because now I'm buried on this depth chart. I have to work my way up. Spring ball is in a couple of months and I have to learn this system. And it's kind of the way that I feel now, where it's like, I've made it, I've accomplished a childhood dream, but now the real work begins to try to stay here and to try to make the roster and try to contribute. So, as I'm sure you know, but it's a combination of things. But then I think you got to turn around and start going, all right, we got a lot of roll up sleeves. It's time to go to work. So
it's a tough position. I look at tight end, and sometimes you play with two tight ends. It's odd, but sometimes you play with three. And then also 13, there's different ways of okay, you could be a pass catching tight end, you could be a blocking tight end. A quarterback, you're either playing or you're not. So it's the toughest position, again, and that's not take shots at other positions, but wide receiver, there's usually three on the field, and there's a slot guy, and you could be a possession guy where it's
specials.
Exactly. So it's a tough thing, but I'll tell you this, we're 10 minutes into this bad boy, and I'm not betting against you. I can tell already. I'm not, if someone's betting against you, it ain't me. It might be Bellis. Bellis might bet against you, but it's not me.
Never. You can't. Why? I don't get why you do that to me. Why you got to pin me?
I always sue her. This is par for the course. I sue her belly all the time.
I'm dying to know. What does your shirt say? It was
always the Jags.
Oh, My God.
Bellis a big Colts guy, so you got to be careful. Big Colts guy.
Big Colts guy.
Big Colts
Yeah.
guy. How could I not be, man?
Well, here's the question for the Colts fan: is what are we doing? What are we doing in the draft this year?
I want
First
Lamar.
round, who are we taking?
I want
We're
Lamar.
we're taking Lamar. Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing whatever I can. I would take anyone but a quarterback at 4 and then figure out a way to get Lamar. Jim Irsay's played around with Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz. Go get a 26-year-old dude that's won an MVP. I mean, I have no idea.
Great guy in the locker room too.
I
was in
you had
Baltimore
time
for
in
a cup of
Baltimore,
coffee.
right?
The guy is an unbelievable locker room person. That's the thing.
And he can
Whatever.
ball. It's
He can
outrageous.
ball. That's the big thing.
So speaking of balling, right? You win 3 bowls at Ohio. Are there any in particular that stand out of the 3?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of them. I mean, all of them were really special in their own way, because they represent 3 really unique teams. The 19 one was special for me just as a whole because my brother and I were in the same quarterback room, and that was pretty special. 18, I thought we had the best team out of the 3 years, so for us to win and dominate that bowl game, that was really fun, really validating. And 2017, we were in the Bahamas, and so when you win in the Bahamas, it's cool. It's what's great about the bowl games is that if you win them, you get to wear all the merch that they give you, and you get to feel good about it. You know, I feel like if you lose a bowl game, I would be wanting to get rid of that stuff right away because you get a lot of stuff.
Sort of like losing the Super Bowl.
Do you guys know what bowl games are at Rice?
Believe it or not, we went to 1. Thank you. Well, technically, I got to 2, but I only say 1 because I redshirted my first year. Okay. If you want a really somber moment, went down there. You can understand this small D1 school. You know, MAC, Conference USA, some similarities. Bro, we went 10-3 with like losses to Texas, Vanderbilt, and believe it or not, Tulsa back then was ripping. Todd Graham was their coach. G.J. Kinney was their quarterback. Electric. We ended up 10-win season, smack Western Michigan, some MAC boys in this bowl. I'm like, man, I'm a redshirt. I don't know shit. I'm like, we're finna be like a top 25 team next year. The next 3 years were 2-10, 4-8, 4-8. And boy, was it was a mental grind. Ended up sneaking out a 6-6 year on my way out of town. But we're not going to get into that because, to be honest with you, I got some bad blood with Rice. Yeah. What I would love to get into is this CFL ordeal. And I'm not gonna taint this conversation. And producer Alec will probably pop in. All I'm gonna say is this: I'm gonna pose a question. It's gonna be ignorant. I'm putting a disclaimer on here, and you can just take it however you want. Is the CFL trash? That's what. Take it how you want.
No, not at all. I think you look at the kind of guy like when I came down to the NFL, you know, when I talk about I was playing in the CFL last couple of years, they either know somebody who they played with, the coaches will know someone they coached with. You know, there's a lot of people going back and forth that are quality, ball players, and I think a testament to just the kind of the level of play that is up there is you see guys that are big time names in the NFL or in college football in the States, and you go up to the CFL and they don't pan out. So
he's killing my narrative, Bellis.
I think it's
I think
it's really good football. It might not be the game for you, but if you don't like offense, I guess that may be the reason. But
I don't like that you guys get 2 days off.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? I turn on a CFL game. Let's get into the nitty gritty here. This is my gripes with the CFL. I turn on a CFL game. Guys are running butt naked down the seam. I'm like, how did this guy get dropped? I've never seen that in the NFL. Maybe once every 3 years. And then I learned that you guys are out of the building at 2:00 and you have 2 days off per your CBA. And I get it's a finance thing, but this is pro ball. And I don't know how enforced it is, but I would hear my boys in the CFL be like, yeah, bro, we get 2 days off and we're in the building from like 10 to 2. And I'm like, well, no shit. You guys are busting coverages. What are you doing for 4 hours? You practice for an hour and a half too. You do a little workout for 30 minutes and you do an hour of film. That's worse than college. That's my big gripe.
True.
And
It's
Alec,
true, and that's
producer
and
Alec
that's
loves the CFL.
and that's why a lot of guys I don't think pan out because they're not held to that standard, right? So I'll tell you what, I wasn't in 10-2. I was in a little bit longer than that. So
See, and that's why he's with the Jags now. I'm back. Narrative's back.
yeah.
Okay. So now
I can understand that, but they're working on it. It is a financial thing. I mean, they just can't.
It
and
is.
Some guys, there
I'm
are some
just
guys
joshing,
that are
bro. I love to bust
that
balls.
are working multiple. Just for the listeners, there are people that do work multiple jobs and they have to leave and they have to go do something else afterwards. That does still exist. So
yeah. So hopefully they can get that cleaned up because it is a very fun game to watch. I think that if Americans understood the rules a little more, when I talk to guys, they're like, "Yo, we turned on a CFL game," or that kind of time where the CFL is playing, the NFL's not. There'll be games like we'd be in the facility in the off season in camp, and a CFL game's on, and everyone's like following, and guys make plays. I'm going to walk back a little bit, but there are some plays in CFL that are made that I'm like, damn, that's a great, great play. And like you said, 3 downs, you're slinging the pill like a fucking maniac out there. It's fun to watch. But what gets hard, and I wish they explained this more, not even like the rouge and the one-pointers, it's the motion that throws everybody off. All the American dudes, like you'll see like 4 receivers like zoom, zoom, zoom. And all of them like, bro, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, I played this in high school. So to me, it looks, pretty normal. But I kind of wish that, and I know it's a tough situation, that it was the rule differences were more well known. I think that would really help the game, south of the border.
Yeah.
But now they got you. You're the great CFL hope.
Yeah.
You are.
Well, I'm down here now. So unfortunately.
I know, but you still represent the CFL. If a quarterback, a Canadian kid who went to the CFL can ball in the NFL, that's the Mecca. On the Mount Rushmore of Canadians playing football, you're there.
I think it would be really good for the CFL because I think guys would continue to trust the CFL process and be able to go, okay, we can go up. There's good football up there. We can come down. Or, it's once we go up there. I think because one of the things that I keep hearing from people is that once they go to the CFL, they're trapped. They can't go back down to the NFL. It's like, well, that's not the case. Teams are, typically have really good relationships with NFL teams, and they're willing to let people go and go and chase the dream. So, no verbs about it.
I think too, like you talk about the CFL stigma, like you have an opportunity. I'm not trying to put a bunch of pressure on you, but I feel like you probably like it anyways. To erase some of that stigma. There's a guy that I trained with in the offseason one year. You played against him, Adam Bighill.
Oh man,
this dude was dominant.
Yeah.
Dominant. I remember he came up. We were in Vancouver, and I think mutual buddy. Perhaps you've worked with Rob Williams.
Perhaps the man.
So we're at a Rob. See that, Belly? Connections right there.
I like it.
Rob Williams. We're at some park in Vancouver. Rob Williams dialing us all up, and he's like, "Yo, I'm bringing the CFL cat in, Adam Bighill." I looked him up. I'm like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Hey, dude, you want to do some one-on-ones?" He's a linebacker, and I could run pretty good. So I remember looking and being like, "Bro, the fuck out of here! You want to do one-on-ones? I'm about to roast you, my guy. You're a linebacker. No one on the planet Earth would want to do this." This guy was glued to me, Bellis. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to run by him. Bro, he was fast as fuck. I'm like, this guy does it all. And it was very confusing to me how not only he wasn't in the NFL, he was not starting in the NFL. I mean, at that point, I had seen a lot of, when I was training with Rob, I had seen a lot of NFL linebackers in my life. And Adam Bighill, athletically, and I'm assuming he was also cerebral, was up there with the best of them. So it's a weird how it's like, oh, this guy's a CFL linebacker. I never really understood that stigma. So hopefully, Nathan, you can destroy that for the rest of the CFL.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'm a huge Adam Bighill fan.
Great dude. Shout out Adam Bighill.
He's the man, and I tell you what, not a tougher guy in the CFL we've had to prepare for the last 2 years. Just watching him on film, he's making every play. He's around the pile if he's not, making the tackle. They got him playing safety on second down. He's shocked, coming down in the box. He's in the box. He's going back to safety. And he's I think he's getting up there in age in terms of what football age is. I think he's in his 30s, and he's still one of the most dominant players in the league. And I don't think he has any plans on giving that up anytime soon. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
People have looked at his size and been like, okay, you can't play. Well, you haven't put on the tape and seen this guy plays.
Speaking of Big Hill, how different was it in the weeks leading into the Blue Bombers games? They've been on a tear for a couple years here in the CFL. You've come in right in the middle of it. How different did that defense look compared to other defenses you were seeing throughout the league?
Yeah, well, they did obviously a huge respect for them and their organization and what they've done, and so every week it was a chance to knock off the champs, right? And so we were trying to give us our best shot, and unfortunately, I don't think we ever really, at least when I was playing, we ever really did that. But they have unbelievable pass rushers and Jeffcoat and Jefferson and they have Adam at the second level and then they were always solid in the secondary, and they just really were tough to play against. So, and they did some different things. They were not a team that you necessarily knew what they were going to do every week. So they were always challenging, and they obviously extremely well coached as well. So,
I wanted you to answer a rumor that we heard.
Okay.
Producer Alec, get ready here. Producer Alec, get the clips ready. Don't put them on yet. I heard a rumor. You come off as like a very nice guy. You're extremely well spoken. I heard a rumor that when you were going down and visiting NFL teams, you didn't say a word. You just walked in and just played these clips. Put them up, Alec. Is this true? You just said, "Oh."
Well, you talk about the NFL players not knowing the rules. They're going, "What's going on here? What kind of formation are we in? What's going on? Why are we?"
Have you always been able to run pretty good?
Sneak? I did a little bit of running at Ohio, so I love running these type of sneaks. This was fun. You just kind of ride the wave. And
is my guy Peter Godber number 61?
He's the center. I don't remember. I think it's 61. Yeah.
I just saw him. I saw someone putting an extreme effort in, and I was
there
like,
he is. He was right there.
Godber.
Yeah. There he is.
Oh,
right
there he goes.
Oh yeah.
He's finding work.
So I'm just gonna hop in.
I mean, dude, look at these.
That last one just broke my heart on my Toronto Argos and my boy Royce Mechie. Just right down the seam.
Rewind that shit. For those of you who are listening, we're watching Nathan's, not his highlight film, but a highlight film. Bro, look at this throw.
So
could we rewind that?
I want to break this one down. Because I was saying
breaking down some plays. Producer Alec, I told you, bro. He loves you. Talk to us, Alec. Break it down.
I work with TSN, for those of you who don't know. It's the CFL is my pride and joy. And I remember working this game and against my Toronto Argos. I'm a diehard Argos fan, always have been. And you dropped this dime on my good friend and former teammate, Royce Mechie. And I went,
I know, Royce.
Yeah, no, this guy's not going to be in this league for very long. Because nobody makes this throw. Like down the seam.
Tell me that early.
The seam, nobody makes that throw. And then
I will say this. Alec did say in September
ball.
When NTSN, he's like, bro, you better start watching this kid. He's going to the league.
Yeah.
This is a fucking heave right now. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, you mentioned Winnipeg. That was a rough. That was one where we just needed something to get going. We were starting off really slow, and so this kind of got us a little spark going.
Yeah, that'll do.
So
that'll get you going.
I'll hop in and ask a question here, Nathan. I sort of teed it up there, but like at what point? Because I knew, you watch some of those throws, like the seam routes. Santabella's, like you had a dig route early on in the season where I was just like, yeah, this guy's just better than everybody else. Like, at what point was it when you threw for like 400 yards in your like second game in the league that you knew, like, I'm going to light this league up? Or like, when did you sort of know, like, I'm probably going to the NFL? Because like I knew, a lot of us knew. I think the talk around the CFL was like, well, let's enjoy this 1 year that we have with Nathan Rourke, because we're not going to see him next year because he's just going to, light this league up. Like, when did you know that, like, okay, I'm going to head down to the NFL?
I'll be real honest. I told my agent at the beginning. He started texting me and telling me stuff about the NFL, and I said I don't want to hear it until the season's done. So that's the way it happened. And so once the season
a fucking machine.
ended,
that's what he is.
once the season ended, then we started talking NFL. But I was all in BC, with the VC Lions up until
we're clipping that and we're tagging BC Lions and said you guys are. I'm gonna say you guys are fucking lucky to have them for a year. You're
I'm an out of sight, out of mind kind of guy. So if I don't want to think about something, what was special, and I'm glad that I did this in the time, was that I knew that we had something special. We were returning a lot of guys. Their coaching staff was coming back. I know we had a very special locker room, and I just tried to stay in the present and enjoy the moment as much as I could, and I didn't want anything else to ruin it, And I think that to take advantage of a situation like that and to go as far as you can, you don't want to be thinking about those type of things in the future and stuff like that. And you just know if you take care of business on game day, that those type of things in the NFL that will come down the road.
So piggybacking off of that, I know any season coming to an end with a loss can be quite emotional for any player, but with that stuff going on in the background as well, does that explain some of the emotion that came out after the West final? I know it was Bo Burnham's final game before retirement, I believe.
Yeah.
But was that thought in the back of your head as well of like, this has been an incredible 2 years with a good organization. They've helped me tremendously, and this is probably the end of it?
No, honestly, I didn't know that I was going to be choosing the NFL until a week before the decision came out, because I was really torn between wanting to go up and trying to compete again to win the Grey Cup with the Lions. That was that. I think you're talking about after the Winnipeg, the loss in the West final, right?
Yeah.
That was just really me, really sad and disappointed that we didn't get it done for Brian, and because he's one of my favorite people in the world and one of my favorite teammates, and I just think he's one of those guys that deserve to go out with a win. So the fact that we weren't able to do it, and I didn't play my best game, that was one where I really want that one back. So it's been too bad because it's been a long off season. Haven't been able to do anything to forget about it yet. So still thinking about that one.
Okay, we got to get into the NFL shit. I know we got you for a limited time, so we got to come.
Oh, let's go, man. We're full. It's a full send today.
Full send. I'm gonna message Peter Godber, see if he has any wise words just to end this thing. If he answers,
the newest Saskatchewan Rough Rider. Did you hear about that?
I did. I still follow him on the gram. I still follow my guy. Took him on his official visit. No bigs.
Yeah, pretty big stuff.
No bigs.
Humble. He's a humble guy, Nate. He's a humble.
Peter Godber's a Canadian fucking goat. That's all I'm going to tell you, bro. This guy went to Rice, didn't give a fuck. Okay, just smashed skulls. Was not a true Rice nerd. He went there for the right reasons. Played ball. I got a lot of respect for Peter Godber. All right, Luke Bellis. It's tough times at Rice. Tough times down there. Anyways. Yeah, an official visit from Luke Wilson Tail. That's a great question, Vince. It's not that kind of pod, if you know what I'm saying, Vince. Okay?
Yeah, that just sounds like an episode of Blue Mountain State.
No,
with Luke Wilson.
No. I will say this. Recruiting weekend was always like the first weekend back, the way Rice, because it was a private school, fell. Mm-hmm. It happened to be also my birthday. So that was really my like pride and joy. It was like, football was done. And this is my weekend to shine, and I was just setting up parties. It was a whole ordeal.
Did they have you recruiting all the way up to your senior year? Like we were doing recruiting visits every year?
Every year. I was one of the first guys. They're like, if we want someone to come here, we got to make sure that Luke hosts them.
I'll tell you what, I did it once, and I said, don't ever do that to me again. I tried to play. I need to focus on the game. Yeah, I like that. Because all the guys, they wanted to go out. They wanted to go out and
you got to facilitate, bro. You got to wheel and deal out there.
I didn't know that type of stuff.
I also was blatantly lied to, so I felt like it was my responsibility to blatantly lie to the next people as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, continue the cycle. Yeah.
I'll never forget it. Fun story, and then we're gonna get in the NFL. But I get there. Rice is a very academic place. It's very academic. Not maybe the world's best looking people. I'm gonna say that as nice as I can. Well, we get there, and then like, look, we're going to a party. I'm 18, fresh out of LaSalle, Ontario. You know what I'm saying? A fresh 18, like just turned 18. And, dude, we go to this party. I'm like, yo, these college girls are gorgeous. Like, And the boys there are like, yeah, dude, that's what it's like going to college. I'm like, holy smokes. Come to find out, everybody's in on the joke. They get like the 6 hottest chicks on the soccer team. They come to this party for the football recruit weekend. That's all you get. And all of them are dating guys on the football team. So it was my responsibility to make sure that everyone else suffered the way I had to suffer. You know what I'm saying? I got to get back on focus. NFL. So we showed the highlight clip. That was not a true rumor. Obviously, that was probably not what you did. Did you have your same agent, CFL guy, negotiate for the NFL stuff? Took some trips, I believe. I was following Farhan Lalji online when it was all going down. Shout out Farhan, the homie. You know, and I was sometimes it's tough to tell like what these trips are. I've been on a few in my day. Did you find anything strange about the trips? Were they all generally good? And you can be honest here, bro. Don't be too honest because you're still playing. But for me, you know, it was a little weird. Like the one year I'd go in and everyone would be like, oh, yeah, like, dude, you're the man. You're the man. You go to the next organization, which is weird because I ended up signing with them. And Detroit just played all of the worst plays that I had the year before. So I sat in a room and they're like, let's put the film on. Psh, put it on. I'm expecting like, you know, a couple of TDs being like, you know, yo, bro, we need you here. Look at this shit, you know, pat me on the back. Bro, they started playing drops and like missed blocking assignments. And the coach is just looking at me going, what happened here? I'm like, bro, what? You know, at that was 26, 27. I'm like, well, I dropped the ball, coach. It's unacceptable in this league. He's like, why'd you drop it? I'm like, no one's ever asked me that. You know, what am I going to say? Like my hands were in the wrong place. I took my eye off it. So finally I said, I fucked up. That's why I dropped it, because I made a physical mistake. You know, did that happen to you at all? Did they show like any pics from last year, or was it all positive?
No, I just did. I did 12 workouts with NFL
you're on the
teams.
workout train.
I did the workout cycle. So I did. It was go in for a physical. They really wanted to know about the foot. That was really the main thing. Checked out the rest of the previous injuries, and then we'd get on the field for 45 minutes. And
so you were on the full 45.
No, I say that just very loosely. Some of them were 15, some of them were 30, some of them were longer. You know, it very much varied.
Okay, so that's still the same then. I'm not that far removed. I've been on some workouts that lasted 2 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that can't be good. And I remember the one time y'all flew me out here for this, and the coach said, well, I just want to see if you could still run. I know you can do everything else. I've got film. I'm like, well, fuck, bro. I would have just sent you a video of me running a 40. I've been warming up for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I had ones where they flew you in, they do the physical, and then they put you on the field for 45 minutes, and then they go, "Hey, we're not interested. There's not a fit here." And we're like, "Well, why did you even bring me in then?"
I can tell you the answer to that. You'll learn this as you go, as you get in the league. So a lot of teams will bring you in because they think your rivals will sign you, so they want to know your strengths and weaknesses, so in case you're playing against them.
That's really interesting. I think that's a good thing. Because then they think that you're going to be playing.
And then the next thing I'll say is that there's a lot of fuckery, if you will, in front offices where it's like, we know this guy has 12 visits. We'll jump on this train because we think that our divisional rival likes him, and we want to drive this fucking price up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It gets really dirty like that. I do have some buddies in the front office.
We didn't
bigs, right? Belly, no bigs. Humble brag.
Humble guy.
Fortunately, we didn't have any of that. It was, we didn't have anything like that I know of. So, thank goodness.
So then you go down to Jacksonville. Did you know right away that was a good fit? Were they like the most aggressive team? Was it something that you had circled, or were you just kind of going in and seeing where the chips fall?
When we did have the conversation, my agent and I, about what were the best fits and what teams were the most interested, Jacksonville was one of those teams, and they stuck with me through the injury. That was another big thing, is that there were some teams that were kind of scared off from the injury. And the good thing was that Travis Etienne had the same injury the year before, and they had rehabbed it, came back. He played well this season. And so they knew that recovery could be made. And so, when we came in, my agent has a good relationship with Trent, the GM here, and kind of got a good sense that they were interested, and they were The visit went well. I was able to kind of get a sense of the quarterback coaches, Coach McCoy, and kind of understand exactly what the situation was. Thought it was a good situation, good opportunity, and just kind of the way it measured up with everything else. I thought it was worth pursuing.
I mean, that sounds electric.
I mean, shoot, if they heal that foot up like they healed up Etienne's, we might see some more of those 50-yard touchdown runs from you in the future. That dude can run, man.
Yes.
That dude
yes,
can run.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Have you?
Well,
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You're good.
I was just gonna say, have you had much interaction? Like, have you been in the building? Have you been doing stuff with the Jags yet, or what's that look like?
Yeah. So I moved down here at the end of February, and as soon as I was good to go and good to travel after my surgery, and just to kind of take advantage of all the high tech stuff they have here, so that I can get going a little bit more. And there's been guys in and out of the building. I met Trevor last week, and I'll be getting on the field here soon, and getting ready to go for OTAs when they start in the 17th.
Have you checked out any of the local cuisine? Any Waffle Houses yet on your radar with Trevor, or?
No, but I tell you what, Waffle Houses, that was another thing. Did they have Waffle Houses in Texas?
They did. They definitely did.
That is a Southern staple that you definitely have to. You see them. There's popped out everywhere, and never been in one. I don't trust them just from the outside, but I'll have to go in at some point. I'm sure I'll be.
If it makes you feel better, bro, I've never been in one either.
But they're everywhere, though, right?
We need to have both of you change that.
They're everywhere, bro. I don't know if it was some Canadian belly. I mean,
Waffle Houses are a staple, an absolute staple. My dad and I used to do road trips. Anytime we saw Waffle House, it'd pull over.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of pulling over then.
This guy has 3,000 yards throwing next season. We'll head down to Jacksonville and do a pod live from the local Waffle House, bro.
All right, we'll take you up on that. Write it down, somebody.
Speaking of playing in the NFL, have you thought about that moment now that you have arrived with Jacksonville? Have you thought about that, taking the field for the first time in a Jags uniform? Unfortunately, it's got to be in a Jags uniform. You'd look good with in the blue and white. I'm just saying. But have you thought about what that moment will feel like, whether it's a preseason game, a regular season game, just that I've made it?
Yeah, well, I worked out for Indianapolis, so you can talk.
Like I said,
there you go.
Like I said about the division, bro. I got friends in the front office, Belly. I know.
Jim Irsay sitting with a guitar, going over those Nathan Rourke notes. He knows the threats coming to the division.
No, to be honest, the reason was that there was a lot of uncertainty with that coaching staff, and we didn't want to get involved with that. So I think that's probably we wanted to go.
I love that. You just stuck a little dagger in my boy's heart.
Also, you don't want to compete against a rookie quarterback if they don't bring in Lamar, like you said.
Or Lamar.
I don't think you want to compete with a rookie quarterback in the first round pick. Anyways, I don't think that I've really feel like I've arrived, and I'll keep working to never feel like that. So it's just kind of. There's a long road ahead, and so I'm just kind of looking forward to each passing day. I think it'll kind of settle in a little bit more when stuff happens and OTAs start and the guys are back and kind of feel like you're part of the team again. So certainly don't want to come in with that kind of mindset that I've made it, because I think that's the quickest ticket home.
He's a smart man.
He is.
He's a smart man right here. He knows his
well
shit.
Spoken too. He's well spoken. Okay, so I'm gonna try to play off of that a little bit, because in my mind, you've made it significantly further than many other Canadian quarterbacks to this point, and even to the point of I came across an article from a quote from a quarterback at Laval at the moment.
Welcome to French.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce his
name.
Shout out
Anthony Auclair, though. Shout out Anthony Auclair, homie. He's coming on soon.
Absolutely. We'll flash his name, Alec, because if I try to pronounce this, it will not go well. But he said recently that guys like yourself and Trey Ford have made playing pro football much more realistic, right? He cites you tearing it up in the CFL, Trey being a first-round pick out of U Sports. You hear comments like that. You're 24?
Yeah, I'll be 25 in May. Yeah.
20. Yeah, I used to be 25, but I had a birthday as well. So we got that in common. So just hearing comments like that, how does it feel that you're already, you're kind of showing the future generations of Canadian quarterbacks how shit can get done? How does that, sort of feel as where you are with where you're at?
Yeah, I think there's a part of every athlete that's hoping to leave a lasting impact in the sport that they have, a legacy, if you will. And so to be able to bring the sport to people who might not have thought that dream was accessible just because of where they live. I think people like Luke and people like Peter are people who are able to do those type of things and say, hey, if they were able to do it, why can't I? I think that's true for many Canadian athletes. So obviously football is a game that I love. And so to share that with young kids is always going to be something that's special to me.
Very nice. I like it. And then, so I got something else. I jumped on the CFL Reddit today because sometimes I can lack creativity, and the easiest way to do your job is to let someone else do it. So I put up a prompt saying that you were jumping on the pod, just seeing if anyone had a question. And there was a good one that popped up here, and I want to see if what you think about it. Someone wrote, as a quarterback, are there any advantages from the Canadian game you think you can bring to the table? And what advice, if any, have you received from other quarterbacks that made the CFL to NFL transition? There's someone on that Jags coaching staff that might know a thing or two about playing in the CFL.
Coach Burris, Henry Burris. Yeah, we're hoping that he gets a job somewhere else. He's not currently with Jacksonville. They thought he could. He's hoping to get a more. He was on like a temporary. He's an assistant, and he really deserves to be in a quarterback coach in a room and be leading a room. So he's going to pursue that. So not going to be able to work with him, unfortunately. I really respect him and think he's a great person. So, but anyways, definitely picked his brain though on this decision and trying to the transition and all that type of stuff. I think that just because of the way that it's a passing league and you're able to kind of go. I mean, a lot of the concepts that are down here are all the same, right? And so they even have some more complicated things because of the extra person and the different coverages that you can see in the CFL. I think that things down here seem a little bit more simple right now, just from not knowing everything yet. I think I'm definitely going in feeling pretty confident about that. I think it's a wider field. So some of the throws are a little bit more challenging. You kind of have to have a bigger arm. But I think the biggest thing is that just being able to play professional football for the last 2 years and being able to work on a routine and have a schedule and kind of understand the grind of a season and stuff like that, I think that gives me a huge advantage over any other rookie coming out of college, who's not had that same luxury. So we feel very fortunate to have the last couple of years with the Lions and be able to learn from a Hall of Fame quarterback and Mike Riley, see how it's really done and all those type of things.
So Luke, I know you got one other thing to add, but just before I wrap up here, I got two things. One, your brother, how is he doing? How's his knee?
Yeah, he's doing really well. Yeah, he's doing really well. I appreciate you asking. He's doing really well. He's far ahead of his ACL rehab. He was able to participate in Pro Day. He's able to throw for Pro Day for the guys who are coming out. He's doing spring ball right now, and he's on track to go and tear it up again this season.
And so I just have to ask, like, growing up with a younger brother quarterback, what was that like for the two of you coming up and getting to play the game together? You mentioned earlier how special it was to be able to be in the same quarterback room with him in college. So what was it like growing up with him? And I mean, he seems like a stud too. So it seems like you guys got some good genes.
Yeah. He's the best. We have a great relationship. We're very, very competitive growing up, and obviously in everything sports. And I'm super proud of him. I don't think he's going to be coming up and doing the same ride as I did in the CFL. I think he's going to be getting into camp somewhere and hopefully sticking. So he had a great season last year, and it's fun to be able to go to the same school and be able to kind of talk about, the struggles of certain classes or buildings or walks, the class and stuff like that, the coaches and all that kind of stuff. And it's been fun to watch him. And that 19 year was always special for me because we were such a good relationship and he was just kind of learning. And so I got to really be able to help him transition from high school to college and kind of show him what it takes to be successful at the Division I level. And he's ran with that. He's done that, and he's done much more than I ever accomplished there. So really excited to see what's next for him.
Well, it's about that time. So I'd like to wrap this whole thing. Something has happened while we were chatting. I got in touch with the GOAT, Peter Godber.
Oh,
been texting a little bit. And this whole combo is going to come full circle. Look at this guy. That's a Rice University legend right there, Bellis. Look at this guy. In a sec, we're going to have to put a different photo up and ask what's going on here. But that's towards the end. So I said, yo, Peter, I said, bro, what up? You know what I'm saying? That's how I text. I will, just pat myself on the back. His response was just training out here in Vancouver, moving to Saskatchewan in a month. What's good, bro? Is the legend of Luke Wilson back in Van? I just want to say that he called me a legend. Anyways, besides that,
humble guy, man.
Yo, humble brag. I'm like, I got your fucking homie on here. I was like, I need a good story. And I was hoping for a little joke, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to read verbatim what he said. And earlier I said that I had some gripes. I had some gripes in the NFL about the CFL, correct? And I talked about the 2 days off and the lack of time in the facility. I didn't preface Godber this. I was looking for a funny one. He said, Nathan Rourke is a legend. Speaking football-wise, Nathan Rourke was in his rookie offseason, and he would come to the facility earlier than everyone, warm up with the sled for about 30 minutes, lead our workouts, run through practice scripts with us, and then be there for 3 more hours. He would then drive 45 minutes to North Vancouver to meet with his quarterback coach for another 2 hours of work. His work ethic is like no one else I've ever been around. I mean, that takes my CFL narrative and destroys it. Sounds like Nathan Rourke is out here grinding.
I'll tell you what, it's easy when you like what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, another good one. Oh, see, that's electric right there.
Fun.
Now, I will say, there is one small thing. He said Nathan Rourke is for the boys. He commanded the huddle, and everyone's respect. He's always played on the locker room banter. And I want to put one photo up. I don't know if Alec has got it yet. It's in the text thread. You just got to tell us what's going on here. What's going on here, bro? What's going on here? What's going on with this photo?
Well, as you can see, we have Batman here. I'm just taking a snap from Batman here. So we had this thing that started in 21 where every walkthrough, Pete would come out with a Batman hat, and then Mike Riley bought him this full this tight Batman costume. And so the last 2 years for Halloween, he's worn it for our walkthrough. And he's got the cape and everything. And this time he just showed up and went to all the meetings in costume.
I told you, Pete Godber, legend.
He was the full send from him the entire day. So we just had to get this picture. And as you can see, like, we're business as usual, like he's going to go out and walk through in that. He's going to go out and do that. So everyone was giving them their best "Where's Rachel?" and the Batman place.
That's incredible.
I love Pete because he just leans into this kind of stuff and just owns it. And he's
sick.
Just such a good sport, man.
Well, Nathan, I know we've kept you for a long time. I want to say on behalf of the All-Time Pod, myself, Luke Bellis, manager Mark, who you didn't get to meet, producer Alec, thank you for coming on here. As a Canadian kid who really has a passion to see, Canadian ballers do well. Keep being the trailblazer you are, bro. We'll exchange some contact info later. If you got any questions, door's always open. Thanks again. This was a fun chat. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me. It's a blast.